Hi everybody, welcome to the DI Wife. My name is Kelly and I will be leading you today through basic drill use. It's been brought to my attention that some of you don't know how to use a drill. There's no shame in that. If you've never been shown, you've never been shown. So I'm going to just teach you why you would choose one drill over another, why you would choose the speed of the drill, how you change the bits, how you change the batteries, how you charge the batteries. We're just going to go through some basic how-tos on a drill. You'll note I've got quite the little selection here. I've got 2 Craftsman, I've got a little DeWalt, and I've got 3 Makitas. Between Rex and I, we honestly own about 18 drills. Sounds like a lot, but lots of times we still don't have enough. So I do have, I think I have 6 or 8 that are for the Craftsman ones that I use for my woodworking classes. In the shop, we primarily use the Makita. They're a little bit higher quality, aka more expensive, but I love the Makita tools, the entire lineup of tools, and they all use the same battery. So all the tools, the skill saw, the drills, the jigsaw, our chainsaw, my weed whacker, everything uses the same battery, which just makes it so convenient. We always have batteries lying around, lots of them, and there's always at least a couple that are fully charged. So it's always handy. Even my vacuum cleaner in the house is a Makita, uses the same batteries as all of our tools. So it's super convenient. We always keep 2 drills in the house, we always keep 2 drills in the garage, and then we keep the rest of the drills in the shop. And even then, there's still never enough. So I've been asked a couple of times actually what my favorite drill is, what the one I always reach for in the shop is. And I'm going to be perfectly clear right now. My favorite drill in the shop is whichever one is closest to me and has the most battery power. I'm not super fussy about my drills. I really like the Craftsman line because it's a more affordable line for the basic DIYer. The Makita is such a good quality product. It's a little bit more expensive. If it's something you're just going to do occasionally, you may want to stick with just a cheaper line. I have yet to have any problems with any of the Craftsman lineup. So I've really been enjoying it. This little DeWalt set, it's light, it's easy to use. If you're only using it occasionally, just get yourself a cheap little set. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't a cheap little set, but it feels like it is compared to the other ones. So as far as basic drills, I'll get rid of some of these. I'll maybe use these 2 as a demonstration. So I've got the 2 Craftsman drills here. I have just a regular drill, and then I have an impact driver. So the impact driver, they do the same thing. They both drive screws, but the impact driver is so much more powerful and does the job so much faster. So if you're driving long screws, for instance, we built some garden boxes this year with 4x4 treated lumber, which actually looks like this. So that's a lot to go through with a screw. If you're going to use a regular drill, it'll do it, but it takes so much longer. So we always use the impact driver for things like that. Things like driving 6-inch screws, impact driver is definitely the way to go. Now in the shop, I hardly ever use the impact driver. It's Rex's favorite. It's the one he always reaches for. It's always the last one that I'll reach for. I prefer just a regular drill. I find this to be too powerful. It drives the screws too deep into my wood. For the nice finish, I prefer just a regular drill. So let's go and talk about this regular drill here. So most drills look the same. See? Battery's on the bottom. Trigger is always in the same spot. All drills that I have come across with have this little toggle switch here. It's always in the same spot on all the ones I've encountered. It's here on the Craftsman, and this is your direction. So on the Craftsman one, if you can see beside that little button, there's an arrow. So you push the button in like this to drive a screw in. You flip it, you push the button out to pull the screw out. If you go to pick up a drill and it's locked, meaning nothing happens and you can't push the trigger, it's because this little button is in neutral. So you need to just push it one way or the other and your drill will work again. So that's how you change directions on your drills. Just this little toggle here. When you get good with the drill, you don't even need to stop. You just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Makitas are much easier to do. But same with the DeWalt, it's in the same spot. There's a neutral in the middle, locks the trigger. All right, the other thing that all of these drills have in common is this on the top. Some of the cheaper brands that you buy won't have that. They are a single speed, but most of the drills on the market that are decent quality are a double speed drill. So that's what this is. There's one, slide it down, and you're in two. Now, how do you know which one you need to pick? One is meant for driving screws. So it's a slower speed. It's what you need to use to drive most of your screws, unless they're really long screws, and then you can use the higher speed. But two is a high speed. Doesn't sound like it, my battery is dying. But two is your high speed. You will use a 2 or the high speed when you are drilling a hole through something. So if you're using a bit, like so, and you're drilling a hole, you want to be in number 2. It was years before I learned that little tip. I just always assumed they both did the same thing. And technically they both do the same thing. But in 2, if you're trying to just drive a regular small screw, it tends to skip out a lot because it's going much faster. So 1 for driving screws, 2 for drilling holes. Same on the Makita, 1 for driving screws, 2 for drilling holes. And look, same on the DeWalt, 1 for driving screws, 2 for drilling holes. So now you know that little tip and trick. What do we have left? I know what we have left. How to change out the bit. It's been brought to my attention. This is also something some don't know how to do. So this is like the collar on the drill. It's sort of locked in. You can move it a little bit, but it doesn't really move. So what you're gonna do to take your bit out, you're gonna turn it. It's clockwise in this direction. Turn it. Loosens it off. You can see this in the middle. Those pieces are separating and getting bigger. If you turn it the other way, you can see they're closing up to hold your bit in place. If you have a long way to go, let's say, where do I put that bit? Right here. Let's say you had this little hole and you want to put this big bit in here and you've got a long way to go. I find the easiest way, you can just hold the collar on your hand, put it in reverse to get bigger. Go slow. Put your bit in, hold the collar, go slowly forward until it grabs it. Once it's grabbed it and it's holding your bit in straight, just give it a turn just to lock it in. Oh, that blew right in my face. So now you've got your big bit in there. Again, to take it out, you're just gonna turn the collar. I tightened it too much. Just gonna turn the collar until that pops right out. I always just hold the bit forward to tighten, and you're in. Blew in my face again. I don't learn my lesson ever. So that is changing the bit. One last thing I will go over is changing the battery. So there were lots of corded drills on the market. They're such a hassle because there's never a plug-in where you need one. The cord gets wrapped up in everything. I haven't used a corded drill in years, and I will never go back to a corded drill. So most of the drills now have batteries. They all have the little button on the front. You just pull the button, or you don't. You just push the button and pull the battery off. DeWalt, the same. Push the button, pull the battery off. That one's been on for a while. Same with the Craftsman. Push the little black button, pull the battery off. Now they're ready to charge. Some of the batteries, Craftsman has it on all of the batteries. They have a little button. You just push it and it'll tell you how charged your battery is. So I'm 1 out of 3 bars. This one is almost dead, needs to be charged. So I will do that today. I don't have a charger down here. The DeWalt doesn't have the battery thing. You just have to guess like that. And lots of the Makita ones do as well. So you push the little button, the lights light up. This is 4 bars. This one I got off the charger this morning. It is fully charged and ready for a full day's work. When you're ready to charge your battery, sorry, I forgot to grab the charger. So this is the Makita charger. The batteries just slide on. And when it's plugged in, the lights will flash. So if the lights are flashing, it usually means it's charging. If they're solid, it usually means it's done. Okay, I think that's it for basic drill use. Oh, I do want to go over actually how to use a drill. Maybe I'll use this impact. Oh, I should do bit changing in the impact. If you're going to use the impact driver and you're going to drive long screws, if you're not used to using a drill, if you've never used a drill before, I don't recommend it. They're very hard to get straight. They slip out of the screw hole all the time. They're just a handful. But if you decide you want to use the impact driver and you need to know how to change the bit, so they all have this little collar on them. And you see it pulls out. So to change the bit, you're going to pull that collar out and then you can pull the bit out. When you want to put a new one in, you can just pop it in and it locks it in place. So pull the collar out, pull your bit, pop it back in. I'm going to use this bit. And I'm going to use this drill. I need to put a battery on. Where'd my battery go? There it is. Okay, I got a little piece of wood here. I got some screws. So the most important thing to know when using a drill and driving a screw. One, I'm driving a screw, so I need to be in one. I made sure my button's in the right direction. I am going forward to drive the screw in. You're gonna hold your screw very carefully. You're gonna put your drill in. Now you need to make sure you got the right bit. That you'll just have to try. Just try your bits. So one thing you need to know when you're using your drill, you need to be able to lightly like feather the throttle, like really slowly if you need to, quickly if you need to, but you very rarely need to go super fast unless you're driving a long screw. So to get started, you're just gonna go just a tiny little bit on the trigger till it just starts moving. Practice that before you get your fingers anywhere near it, because this hurts when you drive a drill through your thumb, as I did here a few months ago and lost my entire thumbnail. It really, really hurts. So you're gonna very carefully hold your screw and you're gonna put your bit inside your screw head. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind when you're driving a screw is to keep your drill lined up straight with your screw, lined up straight in both directions. If you have a screw straight up and down, I'm stuck. If you and you're trying to drill it in at an angle like this, it's hard to see, but you're trying to drill it in an angle, what's gonna happen is you're gonna strip out the head of your screw, you're gonna round off the bit of your bit, and you're not gonna get anywhere. So straight up and down, a little bit of pressure, and start driving that screw. Once it's started in your lumber, I always switch this hand to the back so I can put a little bit more pressure on it. My board is flipping all over the place. But that is basically how you drive a screw. Make sure you are straight up and down with your screw. Start slow until it gets started. Once it's started, you can get your hand out of the way. I'm gonna hold the wood because it's flying everywhere. And you're just gonna go. If your screw ends up going in at an angle, most of the time it won't make a difference, it doesn't matter, but you just need to make sure your drill is also angled at the same angle, so it's seated nicely in that drill head, or screw head. All right, get your screws in. Now let's say you want to take your screws out. You're gonna switch back to reverse, same thing. Make sure you're straight up and down with your screw, you're firmly seated in that screw head. Out is a little bit more difficult with an impact driver. If you find your screws are really hot when they come out of the wood. Don't touch that, by the way. If you find that your screw is stripping out and your bit is skidding around in there and it won't stay seated, put more pressure on it. So apply more pressure with your other hand back here. Pressure will keep that bit seated in that screw head, and it will help you get things out and get them back in again much easier. that is my basic video today on how to use a drill. Sorry if I rushed through any of it. I'm still new to this whole video thing. We'll figure it out eventually. But if you have any questions or comments, or you have any ideas for videos you'd like to see in the future, be sure to drop them below. And like all YouTube channels, please hit the subscribe button and then the notifications bell so that you will get notified when I post a new video. I hope you all enjoyed that. I know I really enjoyed filming for you. Have a great day.